A lot can happen in a week. Some of it good, some of it bad, some of it downright ugly. When faced with intriguing developments in the week's news, we turn to a rotating panel of non-experts to parse the good, the bad, and the ugly of it all. On today's panel, Natalie Arsenault, president of Arsenault International Consulting, Mustafa Tameez, media and public affairs consultant and the CEO of Outreach Strategists, and Charles Kuffner, who writes the Off the Cuff political blog. Natalie, Mustafa, Charles, welcome to Houston Matters.
Thank you for having me, Craig.
Good to be back.
Panel, the University of Houston is telling the NFL it plans to go forward with alternate blue uniforms despite the no-fun league's cease and desist letter 6 months ago threatening legal action for what the NFL calls UH's, quote, blatant copying of Houston Oilers-themed uniforms. You may recall the former Oilers, now Tennessee Titans, went out of their way to wear Columbia blue unis like the Oilers used to wear in a game against the Texans last season, while the University of Houston wore a variation of what athletic director Chris Pesman calls Houston blue for its football season opener last year. The shade is slightly different. The Houston Chronicle's Joseph Duarte reports Pesman believes the university has a, quote, very defensible position and sent a letter a couple of weeks ago notifying the NFL of the school's plans. It's not clear just when or how often UH teams will wear the unis, and at last word, the NFL had no reply to the school's letter. The University of Houston's going ahead with Houston blue uniforms despite threats from the NFL. Is this good, bad, or ugly? Natalie.
It's good for Houston, obviously. I mean, I personally love the Oilers blue. I think it's a beautiful shade of blue. I think, the NFL probably isn't making friends by by sending cease and desist letters to college schools. But, anytime we get to kind of revive that nostalgic feeling, I think it's great. I did not know that the NFL had IP rights to specific colors. Name and likeness, yes. If they, had the same mascot or something, great. I get it. But I'm pretty sure that unless they have described like the Pantone color specifically with like the RGB color spectrum, the shade of blue is not exactly spot on a color match. Like you could go to Lowe's and color match it. So I think it's bad that the NFL just won't let a college team be a college team for the city in which the NFL team came out of that no longer exist. But I think it'll be fun and cool for the University of Houston.
I love the idea that there could be some sort of legal action and the whole thing would pin on the testimony of an expert from a local paint store.
Yes.
Well, I mean, what's the makeup brand that defines colors? Is it Pantone?
Pantone, yeah.
There's your expert witness.
That's right.
Good, bad, or ugly, Mustafa?
This is great. It's not good, it's great. Anytime you can tell the no fun league, here's my letter, take me to court, it's awesome. And I'm very, very proud of U of H for not backing down, for taking this thing on. It's our color. I mean, I know it's not kind to speak ill of the dead, but Adams seems to keep coming back at us even though he's gone with this color fight. And I like to having a testimony by Pantone telling us that it's a different Pantone or whatever the color shades are. Look, outside of the fun of this, we've all had this affinity, affection for that time of the Oilers, and people still remember that. People still have got the shirts back there, and U of H doing it. I know the Rice Owls, or one of the Rice teams, had done it too. It's fun. It brings us back to some nostalgia around Houston, and for a city that doesn't hang on to a lot of its buildings and culture and architecture, we keep building new. This is kind of a nice thing to bring back, so I like it. I like it a lot.
Okay, good, bad, or ugly, Charles?
Honestly, I find it just a little bit puzzling, and that's mostly because I associate the University of Houston and Cougar Athletics so closely with the color red. It's a strong brand, and I'm not quite sure why they want to kind of dilute it or confuse things like this. Now, it's one thing to do it as a one-off, as they did with last year's game, but to do it on a regular basis, maybe, I mean, who knows how often, it just feels like it's going to detract from their existing brand, which, like I said, is well known and closely associated with Cougar athletics and the university in general. So, I mean, I'm all for telling the NFL to stick it where the sun don't shine, but I don't understand the attraction of diluting their association with the color red, because it's how I think of them, and I think most people would think of them that way. So I don't quite understand that part of it.
Craig, isn't it only just it's one of the it's like the away jersey. It's the home or it's the away one, right?
Well, I think it'll actually be an alternative jersey. So
Okay.
they have home jerseys, away jerseys, and then for special events, sometimes there are alternative jerseys. And if you look at varieties of sports leagues these days, some of them have really gone overboard with the numbers and styles of jerseys that they have. Major League Baseball kind of revised back a little bit this year to try and just have a few. Some of that might have to do with a new vendor that's been very bad at delivering those jerseys,
Yeah.
but still.
Yeah, no, the see-through pants that MLB is dealing with. I mean, now there's a color scheme that I would avoid at all costs. I guess to answer Natalie's question, I assume if they're calling this Houston Blue, it's intended for use at home. But again, we'll see.
Well, and Mustafa, you mentioned that it's not, that there's a saying about it's, not good to speak ill of the dead, but I will lend you what Betty Davis said about Joan Crawford when Joan Crawford died, and that was, you shouldn't say anything bad about the dead, only to say, good, Crawford is dead.
Wow.
Leave it at that.
No love lost there, I guess.
Nope.
Panel, there are really no tracks like diss tracks. I'm referring, of course, to the latest in what's become a months-long rap-infused feud between musicians Kendrick Lamar and Drake, a.k.a. Jimmy Brooks from Degrassi. Ask a millennial. In back-and-forth recordings, they've spit rhymes taking pot shots at one another over their authenticity, ghost riders, height, you name it. But the latest one involves a misidentified Houstonian. See, in his new song Euphoria, among Kendrick Lamar's repeated digs at Drake is a diss that references Houston's own televangelist Joel Osteen and says of him, quote, "Funny, he was in a film called AI, and my sixth sense telling me to off him." Yeah, so Kendrick Lamar actually was referring to Oscar-nominated actor Haley Joel Osment, the one-time I See Dead People kid from the movie The Sixth Sense. Kinda took the power out of the insult. Kendrick Lamar disses Drake but confuses Joel Osteen for Haley Joel Osment in the process and confuses the rest of us too. Is this good, bad, or ugly, Mustafa?
I don't know. It's ugly. It's weird. But it's certainly, regardless of what it is, there's a lot of downloads of that music. It's like I saw some crazy number, like 40 million people, one of the most heard, songs, in rap lately. So, I remember, being in middle school, and we used to have Joe Mama jokes, right? And so I feel like these are basically grown men that are doing Joe Mama jokes, and they're laughing all the way to the bank. I mean, because in essence, it has hyped up their rivalries on these songs. And in the music business now, it is what gets most attention gets the most downloads, right? So it is basically the controversy, even unintentional controversy, I think, of pulling in Joel Osteen's name rather than the AI actor's name, creates this conversation that we're having and others are having, and then it's having on the social media. All of the fun that people are making of Kendrick on social media is making people want to listen to the music to see what he actually said. So I used to think that these are like manufactured controversies, but sometimes these are just how things become viral, right? Like it becomes a conversation in the community. So, I'm all for it. Not a big music fan of either one all that much. So it is what it is.
All right, good, bad, or ugly, Charles?
I mean, are we sure he's wrong? I've never seen the two photographed together or in the same room together. I mean, I don't know, man. I, I can't claim to have any deep knowledge of any of this other than to say that in any showdown between Kendrick Lamar and Drake, I'm definitely going to be Team Kendrick. I don't know. Whatever it was he was trying to go for, the fact that he dragged Joel Osteen into it, I think, makes me respect the man that much more. Because if you're comparing someone to Joel Osteen, you're definitely doing something right insult wise. So first of all, I'm not sure he's not wrong, and second, yeah, go ahead and use Joel Osteen as an insult. It's worth it.
All right, so you're Team Kendrick. That I take it that means you were a Saved by the Bell fan and not a Degrassi fan.
No comment.
All right, good, bad, or ugly, Natalie.
I think it's great. And I think it's great because, hip hop was born out of battle rap, right? So, and across the years, as the genre has grown and more people have, more artists and, it's evolved, we've gotten away from it and people just kind of go into the studio and record their little albums and they put it up for streams and then we're all done. But when you talk about like where it's from and what it, the staples of it, and that was battle rap. You call somebody out and you make a diss track so I love it because it's like the essence of hip hop at its roots. I also love it because as a hip hop head, I get free music. I get music that I don't have to, new music that's free. It's out there. It's doing things. It's streaming, all the stuff. So you get, let's see, how many, there's been, J. Cole, Kendrick Lamar, Drake, Rick Ross, Chris Brown got in on the diss. I mean, like there's just a lot of artists out there who are now in on it. So we all get to get some new music out of folks who are making these diss tracks. I think that Joel Osteen, to Charles's point, maybe it's right, maybe it's wrong. Kendrick is known for multi-level music. Like you can't always take it at face value. You kind of got to go back and listen in multiple times and draw all the lines and all the things. It's quite possible that he meant what he said. And we just haven't caught on to what he was getting to. Unlike Charles, though, I cannot say I'm Team Kendrick. But I am here. I am here for a good show, though. So there you have it. And that's what we're getting.
Natalie, are you Team Drake or are you merely you're on the sidelines and just amused by it all?
I am amused by it all, but I do lean towards Team Drake.
Well, we'll let the two of you battle it out in a rap battle starting right now.
I know. I can see Mustafa's wheels turning for like how he's going to go viral with some of his clients there. He's like, if I can just get him in a ring, they'll rap battle it out.
Natalie Arsenault is president of Arsenault International Consulting. Mustafa Tameez is a media and public affairs consultant and the CEO of Outreach Strategists. And Charles Kuffner writes the Off the Cuff political blog. Natalie, Mustafa, Charles, thanks very much.
Thanks, Greg.
Thank you.